welcome to the GUESS India Cloud Experts and Entrepreneurs Dialogue Series. GUESS stands for Global University Entrepreneurial Spirit Students Survey, and it's one of the largest entrepreneurship research projects in the world, with the main research focus on students' entrepreneurial intentions and activities, including the topic of family firm succession. I am Dr. Aparna Rao, speaking on behalf of GUESS India, and today I'm thrilled to host a conversation that dives deeper into the heart of student entrepreneurship. It's my pleasure to welcome our guest today, Kamal Kishore Kumawat, co-founder at Edgistify, a next generation warehousing and fulfillment company that specializes in building highly optimized supply chain solutions and executing them on the ground. Kamal is also the former co-founder with an affiliate marketing platform called Deal With Us. Being an IIT Bombay alumnus, Kamal took almost all the entrepreneurship courses offered by DS School of Entrepreneurship, and today he continues his engagement as a mentor. We will explore this more in our conversation. So let's go. So, Kamal, my first set of questions to you is related to the entrepreneurial spirit in academia. Okay. You have been a student of entrepreneurship, meaning you've been a student of IIT Bombay. Of course, you did engineering, and you also took courses in entrepreneurship. Can you give us a quick brief about that?
Yes, so I would just start with the basics. So I joined IIT Bombay back in 2011, and while there, like with all the great minds, there was one thing which was missing was how to build those products. There were a lot of teams who were building robots, participating in international, national competitions. Those students were not recognized for their courses or that value was not there. I started my entrepreneurial journey back in 2011 when these courses were introduced. I guess in 2014, 2015, these courses were introduced. What helped me was structuring out all the things which we did while building robots also or while building companies. So which things are needed structurally? Like when we are starting a company, it's more about passion about building or solving a problem. But while building a company, there are n number of things which also takes up your time. So while doing those redundant things which are needed to run a company and also ensuring that you are able to follow your passion or you are building that thing remains more important was driven by the courses which I was able to take. From identification, what all skill sets would be needed to even start a new company. That too, you can fail on paper first while executing on ground. So those things were quite constructive and helped me scale a company. So before that, it was more gut driven and like we were more like, though we were earning good revenue, but we were missing out on compliances or things which we were not knowing that these are also mandatory to run a business while in college.
So if I had to summarize what you said, we you would say that the courses did give you a direction to something that you were already doing. Is that right?
Yes, not just the direction part, like there were pieces which we were missing out. Like when you start a company, it's more sort of a gut feel and you just want to break the door and things should start falling in place. But there are easier methods. You don't need to take always a harder route.
Right,
Like
right.
just from a simple BMC, that things which I can do by partnering with other firms. What all skill sets are needed in my co-founders or even in me. Like it shouldn't happen that I have to spend almost 1 or 2 or even 3 decades with the company. So I shouldn't miss out on the crucial things which are necessary or needed to build any company. So
Exactly.
that helps to know that is it worth my time to devote next 2, 3 decades in this particular domain. So that is when you go via like academics, though you have to devote more time, but still it helps you fail fast.
Right, right. So that takes me to the next question, Kamal. Can what's your opinion about nature versus nurture? Can entrepreneurship education make entrepreneurs, or is entrepreneurship education more about identifying and nurturing those who are already inclined towards entrepreneurship?
Okay, so there are two takes on this part. There is a misconception that by learning something, you will be able to execute. Entrepreneurship courses are needed even for the people who are joining the companies, because ultimately around us there are thousands and millions of companies which are there, and people are needed. So through entrepreneurship, that mindset building is needed so that you would be able to do more impactful work wherever you are joining. It's not that you need to start a new company from scratch. You could act in similar way in even in larger organizations. So companies which are surviving or thriving, even traditional companies are now acquiring startups because their traditional teams can't reach at that scale. They need to have smaller scrum teams even for a new product launch in the traditional organizations. So that mindset would develop them how to deal with the new work environment where each day, because of AI and different stuff, things are changing. Even through geopolitical situations, you have to evolve, you have to identify that mindset building is needed, which these entrepreneurship courses are helping. Though
Right,
engineering is again a structural approach to doing things,
correct.
but ultimately, even for Indian market, I would say engineers are more sort of managers. They
Right,
know ultimately if I want to execute any project, I also need to understand people management skill sets. I also need to understand P&L handling.
right,
So while building that entrepreneurial mindset, you are aware about these words, which are not being taught at early stage.
right, correct.
If you are entering real core research, PhD and all, again, the PhD mindset helps you build on that research, failing thousands of time to identify. That mindset is being inculcated for PhD people. But now for bachelor's degree, how you want to evolve those people to run businesses or do activities. These entrepreneurship courses help from day one itself. That boss, you have to identify, like, if you are doing a job, if you screw it up, you can choose to change your company. Your growth might not be exponential, but owning to your own mistakes that you are the sole decision maker. Whatever actions you are taking, you have to back it and find a solution. That solution approach is needed. So, which through courses also we can try. I won't say that it is 100% proof, but at least 1% improvement is a big impact in a person's journey for next 2, 3 decades.
Correct. So, thanks for that elaborate response, Kamal. I will come back to some of the points you raised here. Mm, Let me give you a short statistic, small statistic from the Guess India report. It shows a major shift in career aspirations, and 31% of students aspire to become entrepreneurs after 5 years. That is up by 14% at graduation, right? Do you think entrepreneurship education is a major driver of this shift, or are there other factors at play?
So actually, a lot of other factors are there, not just the courses part, but because of the digital infrastructure now India has. So more reach is there. Even tier two, tier three cities, people are able, like they have been running, but now that data is available with them too. So multiple business models are there, and through even TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTubers, that's again a business opportunity for them. People are able to know that they can earn through different sources. That data, because of the digital part, data is available with a lot of people. And now current generations are born with phones in their hand. They know what things are going out across the world. And no one knows which thing would become viral or which model could work out. So people have more access. And through education, the success rate is increasing. The enthusiasm, the passion to build something is something which we are inheriting from our previous generations. Like, for my example, I'm able to take risks because of my father or my family support. Like, I know You also need to ensure that you have a like roof over your head. That is needed. Then only I have that confidence to jump into entrepreneurship. So, but that mindset would help a person to reach that financial independence to take that risk, calculated risk. Then it doesn't become that risk, so that you are ensuring that your family also thrives and you are able to start your own journey. It reduces the time span. So there are multiple factors from digitization, from data availability, and like growth stories with Indian markets. For sure, like the action is happening here.
Right.
So right time to be in India.
Okay.
This will increase more. Like even the shows like Shark Tank,
Right.
that is making it more famous, and people try to attract. Like even in early 2000, cricket started broadcasting on like TVs were available to people. So people wanted to become cricketers. Right now, because of Shark Tank and other people are becoming famous, or India have now 100 plus unicorns, those people are being celebrated. So now people also want to become that. It is a cool thing also to become an entrepreneur. So there are multiple factors.
Correct. So, since you mentioned Shark Tank, I'm going to bring up a question which I had sort of wanted to talk about later, but I will sort of bring that up right now. Mm, do you think entrepreneurship education should focus on creating entrepreneurs, or should it look at mindset orientation?
So first part, I would always say the mindset part. Because if that confidence is built, the problem solving attitude, that what all resources would be needed, you would go and identify, because you are the sole person, sole decision maker who need to ensure that. That mindset will help even in developing our traditional organizations. Even people enter government organizations, that would be a great skill set to help. So
Okay,
first part is mindset. Second,
mindset.
that mindset would lead to eventually more entrepreneurs.
Right, right. Okay. So actually, you answered another question. So I'll now move to the next stage in this interview. Classroom to startup. And I think you're one supreme example of how you have been tinkering, working, experimenting with venture creation from the time you joined. You said that you joined in 2011 and you started up also in 2011, right? And
Yes.
so this journey from the idea to venture, what are the common pathways that students follow from ideation to venture creation?
So again, like if you had that skill set that boss, you want to work on something. So people in IITs also ultimate aim with even the coaching institutes have created a Gaga world that boss, if you're entering in IIT, you would get crores of packages. That theory is there. And for those, you need to build your great resume. You need to take a lot of PORs. You need to understand that that's a set path. But early on, when I joined IIT, I had seen the movie Three Idiots, Ashish Bhatt, heard about him, met him also in my first year. Those sort of experiences gave me another perspective that, boss, if I put that time in building something, more jobs can be created and wealth can also be built. So that was a ticking point that I started taking actions, which would result in revenue generation or even help me understand the market also.
Right.
So similar steps I've followed for multiple ventures. Like when you want to ensure that, boss, you want to do something, one no-brainer thing which I did was start building, documenting everything, start doing discovery part, meeting people, writing out about them, how that industry is working. So documentation becomes the first part. Then for seriousness part, you have to purchase the domain, you have to do basics so that it is seen by the world that you are building something. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
You're clear.
So I started taking actions. Like each day, if there is no delta movement, that becomes a problematic part. So again, if you are running something of your own, you need to have small wins also each day. Each day swings from low to high. You try to meet someone, you send 10 invite, like 10 people messages, you just get one response, at least one meeting, that's a win for you. So that you have to evolve or mature also. That boss, you are able to take 10 different hits, try to have one closer, enjoy that moment also. So those things have helped me build businesses
Right.
multiple times.
So would you say that you were an outlier in your batch in the way you kept putting in efforts to build startups? Or would you say that?
There are multiple people. So luckily, when I was in college, there were multiple startups which were coming up because Ola was becoming famous. Flipkart got funding, it was struggling in 2011, 12, Snapdeal. So I was at the time when startups were booming. Even in my wing, there were 10 or 12 different companies being started.
Okay.
So that ecosystem was there,
Sys-
luckily.
Right, right. So
Yes,
the ecosystem plays a big role, that means.
for sure. Like you need like-minded people, you need people who are also enjoying the failures. Like
Then,
ultimately,
mm,
small wins need to be there.
absolutely. So, what does it take a student to move from intention to action?
So one part which I feel like again the passion part or the action part, they need to meet a lot of customers. The thesis need to be there on paper also, it should win. Once you have a business model or not to articulate business model is a big word, when you start thinking about that boss, okay, this might work in this way, let me try and speak with people. And when you're speaking with people, don't force fit your solution. Understand the market first. Is it needed or not? The major problem with engineering students, which I have seen, is we try to build something first, sitting in a room, then go to market. Then, because of VC funding or some lucky breaks, we try to think that this is a PMF and now I should be able to scale. That becomes a problematic part. Eventual aim is building real revenue also.
Correct.
So
So,
for that, you need to meet and understand the market. So people who go in the market start understanding, showing early revenue sign or something, more active users, people start using those things, whatever you are building, that gives you more confidence.
that's right. That's right. In fact, with Edgistify, I remember you explained your concept to many people. Um,
Yes.
and it's a at least when you started up, it was futuristic. Today
Yes.
we know the shape, form, service, and everything, and we know what's happening. But when you started, you had nothing. What difficulties did you face in explaining your concept to people?
Okay, so again, when we started knowing about the market, we were pretty young, like 23, 24 year of old people going to people and saying that, boss, your thousands of crore of worth of inventory will be handled by us. We didn't even have that much capital, or even we don't have capital, but still we are better to execute your operations, guide you with better solutions. That was our random confidence. But in that journey, for closing one customer, we spoke with more than 300 plus customers. We documented that, understood that, read a lot of research report, met with people who have executed operations. Like we met a lot of executives of DHL, APL, different 3PL companies. We started like dreaming about it. Earlier, when I used to see a goods train, we used to get bored. But when I started building I Justify, even seeing those trains, like it could be my customer. Even the trucks which are moving when we are in traffic, now I just think that those might be my customer, what they are moving. So you start hallucinating that, boss, everything, any product which I can touch was needing some sort of warehousing or was placed at some place, even it's in their manufacturing plant or their distributor or even the retail outlet is a space. That's how we built the journey. Like we started understanding the market, then we were able to close a customer. After that, we got funded.
Right. Thank you. So, just to build on this conversation a little bit more, There are many. So for every one student who chooses to start up, there are so many who choose not to, right? And there is interest, there is excitement, but there are certain barriers that prevent them from taking that one step, that one action. What are these barriers according to you
So
that
for
prevent students from acting on their entrepreneurial aspirations?
So first part is, again, I would always say that family comes first. You need to first thrive. You need to have a roof over your head, and like you should be able to eat good meals. You shouldn't struggle for those things. Like you have that passion for building something, but you are forgetting the basics because you can focus on like companies like your baby. You want to provide your entire time to that. So that becomes a first barrier. Second part now, I guess, because of the digital world, has become easier. That network part to
Oh,
meet people. Now there are digital routes which have reduced that barrier. Earlier, people didn't have information. So businesses which were built in 2000, 2010 were more related with information asymmetry.
mm,
Like people were charging for the information. Now, after Google or even ChatGPT, now information is available, evidently. So those barriers have reduced. But people who have high paying salaries, that becomes a big barrier because when you start, you are starting with zero. So I've seen a lot of successful entrepreneurs who started at 40, 45, having 1, 2, 3 crore of wealth, then they started. But
mm.
student entrepreneurship is totally different. It might be
Exactly.
supported by your batchmates, supported by your friends, or have at least that base money to survive.
Correct.
Those are your initial helpers.
Exactly. So you mentioned family. Mm, does this mean that the economic stability of a family is important for students to want to start up?
So if you see most of the companies today, which are larger enterprises, they had this basic roof and basic family stability. There would be outliners for sure. We like stories, those stories become famous. But 99% people who are making wealth are not famous.
Right.
Those are people, again, according to bell curve. If I take about successful companies, we don't know about 90% of the companies who are in the back end, running the businesses, build a small plugin, selling just small products also, even Elaichi. Those people are the ones who are running the ecosystem, but we don't know about those people. We always study or hear about outliner stories.
Correct. So, what about institutional interventions or policy level interventions? Do you think some of these can help to bridge this gap?
Yes, so again, if you have that mindset built, then you try to look at these are the easier tools. Policy level changes, you are tracking that was look EV is getting benefits or wind energy is get. So those are the easier spots to identify opportunities and jump on.
All right. All right.
Even a small opportunity of I would take say the route from say China to or Russia to China to other Ukraine or European countries is blocked because of the war. There was big opportunity how to
Mm,
move those inventory or goods because those goods are manufactured and needed. So people build our businesses around that too.
uh,
So
correct.
these are short opportunities, but again, you have to think long term.
Yes. Mm, mm.
So such things are needed. You need, so again, that skill set of research is needed a lot.
Um, let's look at incubation centers in university ecosystems. So there is a guess finding that 63% of student entrepreneurs currently access university support, but only 26% of student ventures are being incubated. With some of the top universities scoring a 4.7 out of 7, one of the highest globally, that is, for fostering a positive entrepreneurship climate. What do you think are the key factors that would have contributed to this success? So there are two questions here. Um,
So, like, I would take, like, according to my understanding, what I feel, first part is Though incubation centers are there, like a lot of universities have started having that. But you also need good mentor support in those who come from diverse background.
Mm.
Like otherwise, if we take a talk about engineering colleges, their focus would be more on engineering products. If you talk about management colleges, they would be focusing more on fintech or that sort of products, which they understand. So while setting up an incubation center, even in larger organizations who want to have entrepreneurial mindset, they want to build ventures or fast-moving companies inside that so that they can also survive. They need to have that open mindset and have diverse people supporting that so that no startup opportunity is missed. So providing basic infrastructure, but now highly skilled infrastructure is also needed because digital have reduced the barriers. You can know about things, you can know even the documentation part. Initially, when incubation centers were there, they were more focusing on providing other supports from CA to legalities and which is needed. But now those things are more democratized. Now you need that industry experience also to improve this score further. So there are different incubation centers who provide that diverse infrastructure also. But if it is provided across all the institutes at similar level, it would help a lot.
Okay. So in your case, in the case of Edgistify especially, or even I think Deal with Us, you chose not to go for incubation. Is that right?
Yes. So luckily, because I started early, I had built that network and connections and about documentation process. So I wasn't needing that support,
Okay.
which generally other people might need. We had
Okay.
built those theses in place. Otherwise, we would have gone through Institute Incubation Center.
Mhm. So have you observed any gaps in incubation ecosystems in educational institutions?
Yes. So again, because so any company or any incubation center would be great depending upon the kind of experts they are able to bring in.
Okay.
Every like if you want to run even a company, you need to institutionalize certain things. That acts as a good part for the long term, but on short term period, you also miss out on some things because the team who is running would look at startups who are more fitting to their thesis or their understandings of the ecosystem. So either incubation center should also be run by entrepreneurs or that mindset that would help them evolve. You can find similar thing in VC ecosystem also. In India,
Absolutely.
also VC funds who are run by entrepreneurs are able to take better bets compared to the financial VC funds.
Okay.
And, like everyone is doing great. I'm not like saying that they are some bad or something wrong is there. Those have their own thesis. But for incubation centers, I feel more openness is needed, more support is needed so that any idea could get better feedback, better opportunities.
Mhm. So can you throw some more light on what you mean by openness is needed?
So when so in college, you can't define that boss. We would take only engineering startups or manufacturing startups, or we won't take service-based startups. That shouldn't be the role of a college incubation center. They should be open about any idea and they should have that network to connect them with ideal incubation center
Okay.
or ideal support because if those people are from that college, they should get those other support too.
So, right in the beginning, you had spoken about how startups built by engineers also need to integrate business understanding, design, and service orientation, understand customers, understand P&L, and all of that, right? So, that means obviously venture creation and the journey of a startup is interdisciplinary, correct?
Yeah.
And so, do you think institutions provide these kind of interdisciplinary opportunities in venture creation for students?
Yes. So I guess entrepreneurship courses and venture creation courses are helping them. They're able to meet, like again, because of that college mindset, people are not able to respect the professor ecosystem. But because of entrepreneurship courses, they see the tag of company also. Our professors are even better than the CEOs of most of the companies. but we are not able to value them. That school mindset is there, or we are not taught in a right manner that we can also utilize their expertise of industry too,
Right.
because they have done research, they have done PhD, like they have that mindset also. They also know how to build something unique. We are not able to take those benefits. But through these courses, more importance that thinking is built, even for the people who are not going for masters or PhDs.
True, true. So, would you say that students in tier two and three cities are also getting access to the same kind of ecosystem support
Not
as?
right now. I feel that even tier one colleges are still struggling. So
Mhm.
that support is needed to be extended. That would give us even better team members. Like
Okay,
for me, being a founder or running a great project in my company, I feel those are again, everyone who's working with us is an entrepreneur. That mindset, that how they run particular department, how they are building those even smaller solutions. We need people who have that mindset.
right, right, right. So, let's now segue to a very tantalizing question: employment first, entrepreneurship later. Yes. So, the Guess India report offers one unique insight into this, the evolving aspirations of Indian students, right? And there is this shift that we are seeing. 70% students aim for jobs immediately after graduation, and this number falls to 52% over 5 years. And entrepreneurial aspirations, which were 14% immediately after graduation, are now going to 31% after 5 years. So, why is there this shift? Why do people want to take up a job, work for 5 years, and then jump into entrepreneurship?
So two things. In India, the education is again becoming expensive. All people can't, like the family, how their families have been. So first they need to support their family. That becomes a big factor. So everyone wants to have that financial independence. Then only they can also learn about the market. In again colleges, we learn about say electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. Core 1 to 2 or 5% people would be there who would be choosing PhD or research part, who are going exactly or building on that. But most of the people will want to go to jobs. In jobs, they require totally different skill set. Limited 1 or 2 profiles, coding profiles who might be using their learnings. But these engineering courses just build the basic behavior. That boss, you can try to incorporate engineering in different things also, like setting a chemical plant. You are a chemical engineer, so you know different things, but you also need to understand the costing part of material involved, so that where you want to build pipes and all those things. So for that part, the learning going to the market becomes a necessary thing. Like you want to build something, but before understanding the market, you are being taught certain things, you have to pass that also. So that becomes a problematic part. So in first year itself, if that mindset is being taught, I guess more people would start exploring, because as you see Indian ecosystem in last 70 years, our forefathers from agriculture to they have built something. Now I guess most of the people have that roof over their head, so more people can take that entrepreneurship bet. But for that to happen, we need to start building on early on.
Right,
Like from first
right.
year itself, people would can start looking at things from an entrepreneur mindset, that what problems they can solve.
True, true. So
And it
these,
can happen across India. It is not needed tier one colleges only. If we start doing this, I guess percentage would, so tier one college might have 5% success rate. Tier two college would, or tier three college would start having at least 1% or 0.5% impact.
okay. So what do you think should be the first step to ensure that this thrust happens?
So I guess that, I guess from first year, like in colleges, we have NSS, NSO. In government colleges, these are the mandatory things which happen. I guess basics of entrepreneurship should also be part of this, which should be mandatory. Just for like how we know about mathematics basics. Like for me, till 10th, I guess everyone should have 10th level education. So you are aware about all different courses, which is beauty for Indian market.
Mm.
that we know about, even Sanskrit, even different languages
Oh,
which are being taught till 10th class, mathematics, social science, all the we are like we have that basic access to all the things. Similarly, I feel entrepreneurship is needed to fit in that criteria.
mm, mm.
Even financial education, I feel those things will help people more to build something early on.
Okay, okay. We've spoken about educational institutions, incubation ecosystems in educational institutions, entrepreneurship education. You've also spoken a little bit about the government. Let's look at the private sector. What can private stakeholders, what can private players do, like corporations, VC funds, NGOs, accelerator groups? How can they engage students better?
So I guess again, VC funds are again startups, so they have to prove the numbers. For them, I guess it would be difficult to build something on because they are a startup, they have to be profitable, they have to show highest returns. That's how they are also making money. Those are startups for me. But if I talk about traditional larger corporates, businesses who have thrived for 2, 3 decades, who are profitable, sitting on great pile, they could also imagine about building new companies. But for that, they have to have those like teams, dedicated teams. In corporates, the problem part is they have that management structure in place. And if they try to start something new in the venture and try to incorporate different resources, that could result in failure also. So people will think that how my promotion would be impacted. So they have to remove those barriers, provide an open ecosystem that boss, if you are able to at least build some thesis, build something in these lines, and they should have a separate team. Like even co-founders for that particular incubation can have a co-tag in that who are building in that. If that fails also, they should be promoted in their existing jobs. So they need to have more teams who can build on businesses.
That's right. That's right.
So that culture need to be there, separate teams, building separate of even a separate dedicated teams would be needed. It's not a part-time job where you imagine if I take example of say Reliance and Reliance want to build something similar to Zomato and they just give a additional responsibility. That becomes a confusing task. You need to have dedicated teams inside corporates, allow them to fail also.
Right. So, there are several private startup support systems mushrooming, right? And they're inviting students to participate. But somehow, like it's a business model, like you said. How can these support systems be more student centric, and how can they be more tangibly supportive? In addition to the openness and the appetite for failure that you spoke about, are there any other factors?
So I guess education part is already covered that if we start imparting basics of entrepreneurship from start and try to
Mm.
identify the problem statements which new generations are now seeing, they can build better solutions. Imagine if I take a simple example, people are who are born in 2020 or 2024 would
Your voice broke off, Kamal, for a moment. Mm.
sorry.
Yes.
So I was talking about we need newer generation to build on products.
Mm.
So how people who are born in 2020 or even in 2024 would be requiring totally different games altogether.
Right. So there are several.
Hello, I'm
Hello.
still audible?
Yes, you are audible. Am I audible?
Uh,
You're audible now. You're audible now. Just one, meaning towards the end, I have just a couple of questions more. One of them, one of them is about the institution industry interface. There are several collaborations, there are several partnerships. Do you think something should be added to these partnerships to strengthen the entrepreneurship aspect? or do you think the partnerships are not working at all?
I feel again, it totally depends upon even while telling people that boss, we have built this partnership. It's depends upon the person who should be able to utilize the features of it. So that those partnerships need to be marketed in that way that I'm able to understand that boss, if I'm coming here, I would be able to reach out to these universities or these people, these profs, or even these additional benefits I can get. Those benefits need to be highlighted by a person, not from corporate, but who have that entrepreneurial mindset.
Right, right.
I'll take example of even like the courses which we run in DSSE or IDEAS program.
Mm,
Students, if they are able to access great industry mentors or right customer support, we are trying to build a community. People who are with corporates also should come for those pitches so
mm.
that those products can get a LOI or a pilot opportunity.
True,
So everyone can be, it's a like startups will thrive when corporates start using them to
true. That's true. That's true. In
real
fact,
customers. Yeah.
yes, yes. I think this is the right time to give you an idea of a project and an experiment that I tried here at NMIMS. I speak to, I'm on the board, like there is this, it's not really a startup right now. Maybe it's in the transition to going public. Okay. And they build insurance technology solutions.
Mhm.
So the way we worked it, the way the partnership worked was we ran a startup in here, and the problem statements came in from the company. Students tried solutions, and the objective was to come out with a startup idea around those problem statements. And then the company would support them in developing those problems, those solutions further, the winning teams, of course. And that would be termed as an internship. So it became a very attractive invitation for students to join, participate, and now in their summer break, uh, an opportunity for them to experiment with their startup development. And the prizes, of course, they sponsored some small money, 50,000 rupees, but the company also gets multiple perspectives and solutions. So they did do that effectively. Um, but then these kind of partnerships I'm finding are very few and far between. Not every large company comes forward with this kind of a thought process.
And sometimes most of the companies who want to thrive for longer period need to do that because now age is not a number to judge on. Like
Mm.
someone who is 49 or 50 or someone whose age is 25 or 29 or even 18. We don't know the information they have accumulated in last 1 decade because of digitization. So we don't know who would be great in terms of execution or understandings. It
Right,
totally depends upon what sort of impact they can bring out. The
absolutely,
corporates would be running behind different programs to understand how they would be able to provide things for the next generation. So
absolutely.
they become their consumers. They don't get bored. Even Netflix, YouTube are experimenting what sort of they're trying to bring YouTubers to these OTT platforms so that their engagement can increase. So you can imagine things which we were calling as cringe is now becoming mainstream, getting
Right,
more value than the traditional actors.
true,
This
true.
is just the entertainment industry. Now imagine the products which we are building for the next generation. When I say products, even the consumables, the biscuits, everything would change. People
Right,
need to innovate. Even the supply chains would be innovating. Like
right,
Zepto, Instamart, Blinkit, they are selling the 10-minute path. Flipkart
right,
failed multiple times, but now they have again launched minutes. Amazon has launched Tej, PhonePe with their PIN code. So people who were calling that won't work out are now running behind this. At least in metro cities, it can become profitable model.
right, right. So one last question from you, Kamal, because uh, uh, you are an inspirational young entrepreneur who started off as a student, and today many people would look up to you as a role model. So, what would be your message for aspiring student entrepreneurs if you had to give them one message?
So instead of one, I would say two, three things which are needed. First of all, start talking about ideas also early on. Try to identify people whom you are meeting. Identify learning about their journeys. We keep diving in our phones. So have that physical connect, have that networking opportunities. Earlier, we used to call that as ragging, knowing about our seniors.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine that basic culture of knowing 20, 30 things about our people. They wanted to pursue do IAS or they wanted to have the financial role. They wanted to become consultant, understanding their journeys. So having that physical connect, understanding that part is, I feel that is started missing out. But that connect would help people to build new organizations which can thrive longer and get honest feedback. So for students, my first thing is start knowing about people who are around you, knowing about their backgrounds, how they reached at those places, what experiences were there, and reading about general knowledge which is around us. That would give, like you rightly said, about policy changes or government interventions. You might have seen the defense stocks going up because of the war, then they're coming down because of ceasefire. These things are happening around us.
Mm-hmm. True.
So that common sense is built based on our environment, how we are seeing the news or how we are interacting with people around us.
True.
So have that common sense, have those interactions, and have empathy too.
Right.
Because people are who have been successful, one common trait which I've found is empathy.
Yes. Fantastic. True. Kamal, that was very insightful. And now, if I had to ask you one last question before we close, if
Yeah.
you had to implement one bold idea to transform student entrepreneurship in India, what would it be? If you had to drive a change.
The thing which I told you. So I wanted to bring lot of corporate guys on weekends to college and students just pitch their random ideas. That 1 or 2 hour part where you can have snacks and all. Corporate people are coming just to interact with their college students and they can give them opportunities and ideas. That's a like if an institute can sponsor that or a corporation or even a VC fund can do that, that would be a great thing. Where after imagine like you are living in Friday afternoon, Friday evening, instead of going to your home, you go to such place where startups are just pitching, failing badly also. But in just 2 to 5 minutes, they are pitching and going away. Now it's up to corporate or people to reach out to those. So
Right.
that gives them excitement also for both the sides. People who want to build, people who are with corporates who want to incorporate new solutions.
Yes. Thank you so much. So I'll be in touch with you. Thank you, Kamal.
Thank you.